Welcome to our journey through time, a voyage that will take us back thousands upon thousands of years to when our earliest ancestors walked the earth. In those ancient days, long before skyscrapers and smartphones, humans lived a dramatically different existence, one that was both challenging and remarkably ingenious. The story of our caveman ancestors isn't just a tale of survival, but a profound narrative about the spark of intelligence and creativity that has always defined humanity. As we explore this fascinating chapter of human history, we can better understand the foundations upon which all modern civilization was built. The cave dwellers of prehistoric times may seem distant and primitive to our modern sensibilities, but they were the pioneering innovators who first harnessed fire, created art, and developed the tools that would forever change the course of life on Earth. The term caveman often conjures images of hunched, fur-clad figures wielding crude clubs, but the reality of our prehistoric ancestors was far more complex and sophisticated. Early humans, including several species that no longer may exist today, were intelligent beings who gradually developed increasingly complex technologies and social structures. From Homo habilis to Homo erectus and eventually to Homo sapiens, each evolutionary step brought new adaptations and capabilities. These early humans faced extraordinary challenges, from harsh ice ages to dangerous predators, yet they not only survived but thrived through remarkable ingenuity. Their story begins roughly 2.6 million years ago with the earliest stone tools, marking the beginning of the Paleolithic or Old Stone Age, a period that would last until about 12,000 years ago. During this vast span of time, our ancestors gradually spread from Africa across the globe, adapting to virtually every environment on Earth. Though we often imagine our ancestors living exclusively in caves, these natural shelters were just one of many dwelling types used by early humans. Caves provided excellent protection from the elements and predators, which is why they preserved so much evidence of prehistoric life for archaeologists to discover. Inside these ancient sanctuaries, early humans created the first known art, paintings that still adorn cave walls throughout Europe, Africa, and Asia. Sites like Lascaux in France and Altamira in Spain reveal stunning depictions of animals, hunting, scenes, and abstract patterns that date back more than 15,000 years. These artistic expressions tell us something profound about early human consciousness, suggesting that even our distant ancestors contemplated their existence and sought to communicate their experiences through symbolic representation. Beyond mere survival, these early humans were developing culture, spirituality, and perhaps even the beginnings of what we might recognize as philosophy. The daily life of prehistoric humans revolved primarily around securing food, creating shelter, and fashioning tools. Unlike modern humans who can often take basic necessities for granted, our caveman ancestors dedicated most of their waking hours to these fundamental tasks. Early humans were primarily hunter-gatherers, following seasonal migrations of animals and plant growth patterns. Their diet was remarkably diverse, including everything from mammoth meat to berries, nuts, fish, and roots. Contrary to popular misconception, studies of prehistoric human remains reveal that many enjoyed reasonably good health when food was plentiful, with strong bones and teeth that sometimes surpassed those of modern humans. Their intimate knowledge of the natural world was extraordinary, encompassing detailed understanding of animal behavior, edible plants, weather patterns, and geography. This knowledge wasn't written in books, but passed down through oral tradition, requiring impressive memory and communication skills that we might not immediately associate with primitive peoples. What makes the story of prehistoric humans so remarkable is their incredible capacity for innovation, despite having none of the advantages we take for granted today. Without formal education, written language, or scientific instruments, they nonetheless managed to develop increasingly sophisticated stone tools, master the use of fire, create clothing from animal hides, build shelters from available materials, and eventually domesticate plants and animals. Perhaps most impressively, they navigated vast distances without maps, surviving in environments ranging from frozen tundra to scorching deserts. The legacy of these early humans surrounds us even now in our basic social structures, our use of tools, our artistic expressions, and our fundamental survival instincts. As we drift towards sleep, consider that within each of us lies the DNA of these remarkable ancestors, connecting us directly to those distant cave dwellers who first gazed at the stars and wondered about their place in the universe. Early human history is a testament to our species' remarkable adaptability and intelligence. From the earliest stone tools crafted by nimble fingers to the complex social structures that allowed for cooperative hunting and gathering, our ancestors laid the foundation for all that would follow. They were the original innovators, solving problems through observation and experimentation long before the scientific method was formalized. Their discoveries were hard-won through trial and error, through generations of accumulated wisdom passed down by word of mouth. Each new innovation, from the controlled use of fire to the development of specialized hunting tools, represented a quantum leap forward in human capability. Those first prehistoric painters, leaving their handprints on cave walls, could never have imagined the civilizations that would eventually emerge from their humble beginnings. Yet without their pioneering efforts, the story of humanity might have taken a very different path. As we continue our exploration of these ancient ancestors, we'll discover how their basic innovations gradually evolved into more complex technologies and social structures. The earliest human tools were simple but revolutionary, crafted from stone, bone, and wood to extend human capabilities beyond what was physically possible with hands alone. The ability to shape stone into cutting implements allowed our ancestors to process food more efficiently, extract marrow from bones, and create other tools. This technological progression accelerated over time, with each generation improving upon the designs of their predecessors. About 1.7 million years ago, the development of the hand axe represented a significant leap forward, creating a versatile tool that could be used for multiple purposes. These teardrop-shaped implements required considerable skill to create, with precisely controlled strikes removing flakes from a stone core to create sharp edges. The craftsmanship evident in these ancient tools reveals not just technical skill, but abstract thinking and planning abilities. By analyzing the stone reduction sequences, archaeologists can literally follow the thought processes of tool makers who lived hundreds of thousands of years ago. The mastery of fire represents perhaps the most transformative achievement of prehistoric humans, forever altering our relationship with the environment. Evidence suggests that by about 400,000 years ago, our ancestors were consistently using and maintaining fire, though they may have been opportunistically harvesting naturally occurring flames for much longer. Fire provided warmth in cold climates, allowing humans to survive in regions that would otherwise have been uninhabitable. It offered protection from predators that instinctively feared flames. Perhaps most significantly, cooking food over fire made many previously indigestible plants edible and made meat safer to consume. Some anthropologists suggest that cooking was a crucial factor in human brain evolution, as it increased the caloric value of foods and reduced the energy needed for digestion. The hearth became the center of social life, where stories were shared, skills were taught, and communal bonds were strengthened under the dancing light of flames. Beyond mere survival, tools, our prehistoric ancestors created items of remarkable beauty and symbolic significance. Shell beads found in North Africa date to approximately 100,000 years ago, suggesting that humans were creating personal adornments far earlier than previously thought. These early expressions of identity and possibly status indicate complex social structures and aesthetic sensibilities. The cave paintings discovered throughout the world represent some of the most moving testaments to prehistoric human consciousness. In the flickering light of fat-burning lamps, artists created sophisticated depictions of animals using natural pigments mixed with animal fat or water. Some of these paintings show remarkable understanding of anatomy and movement, while others appear to have ritual or storytelling purposes. In the cave of Chauvet in France, magnificent lions, rhinoceroses, and horses were painted approximately 32,000 years ago with a skill that would impress any modern artist. These were not crude attempts at representation, but sophisticated artistic expressions created by people with deep observational skills and technical abilities. As the last ice age began to wane around 12,000 years ago, human societies underwent dramatic transformations that would eventually lead to the development of agriculture and permanent settlements. The transition from purely nomadic hunter-gatherer lifestyles to more settled existence happened gradually across different regions of the world. In the Fertile Crescent of the Middle East, people began to cultivate wild grains and domesticate animals like goats and sheep. Similar processes occurred independently in China, the Americas, and Africa, though at different times. This Neolithic revolution fundamentally changed human society, allowing for food surpluses, population growth, and increasing social complexity. The era of the caveman was drawing to a close, giving way to villages, specialized labor, and eventually the first cities. Yet the legacy of those early humans remains embedded in our biology, psychology, and cultural foundations. As we close our exploration of prehistoric human life, we can appreciate that these distant ancestors were not merely primitive versions of ourselves, but fully modern humans facing extraordinary challenges with creativity, intelligence, and remarkable adaptability. Looking back at the journey of prehistoric humans fills us with a profound sense of connection to our distant past. From the first tentative steps of early hominids to the complex societies that eventually emerged, our ancestors demonstrated remarkable resilience and ingenuity. The tools they crafted, the fires they tended, and the art they created all speak to distinctly human qualities that we still recognize today. Our modern world, with all its technological marvels and scientific understanding, stands upon the foundation laid by those early innovators who first looked at a stone and envisioned a cutting tool, who first controlled fire and harnessed its transformative power. In many ways, the story of human prehistory is the most impressive chapter in our collective biography, a testament to what can be achieved through observation, experimentation, and the transmission of knowledge across generations. Though they lived in a world vastly different from our own, these early humans were driven by the same fundamental needs and expressed the same essential creativity that characterizes humanity today. The evidence of prehistoric human achievement continues to expand with new archaeological discoveries. Recent findings in Indonesia push back the dates of cave art to at least 45,500 years ago, suggesting that symbolic thinking and artistic expression were widespread among early modern humans. DNA analysis has revealed complex interactions between different human species, including Neanderthals, Denisovans, and Homo sapiens, showing that our ancestry is more complex than previously thought. Many people today carry small percentages of Neanderthal or Denisovan DNA, a genetic legacy of encounters in the distant past. These scientific revelations help us understand that human evolution was not a simple linear progression, but a complex branching tree with multiple contemporaneous human species interacting, competing, and occasionally interbreeding. This perspective challenges simplistic notions of human development and reminds us that our dominance as the sole surviving human species is a relatively recent phenomenon, the result of complex factors rather than inevitable superiority. Say, technological capabilities of prehistoric humans continue to impress researchers who attempt to replicate their achievements using only tools and materials available in ancient times. Experimental archaeologists who have tried to create stone tools, build shelters, start fires using friction methods, or create pigments for cave painting gain new respect for the skill and knowledge of our ancestors. What might seem simple or primitive from our modern perspective often requires considerable expertise and understanding of natural materials. The precision needed to create a finely worked stone point, or the knowledge required to identify and process plants for medicinal purposes, represents sophisticated intellectual achievement. These were not lucky accidents, but the result of careful observation, experimentation, and the accumulation of knowledge over generations. The prehistoric human mind was not undeveloped or childlike compared to modern humans. It was equally complex, but focused on different types of problems and challenges relevant to their environment and lifestyle. Perhaps the most meaningful legacy of our prehistoric ancestors lies in the social bonds and cooperative behaviors that allowed human groups to survive and thrive. Evidence suggests that prehistoric humans cared for injured or disabled group members who could not directly contribute to hunting or gathering, indicating strong social cohesion and perhaps the early foundations of compassion as a cultural value. Burial practices dating back tens of thousands of years suggest complex beliefs about death and possibly an afterlife. The care taken in many prehistoric burials, with bodies positioned intentionally and accompanied by tools, ornaments, or red ochre pigment, speaks to emotional and spiritual dimensions of prehistoric life that we can recognize despite the vast temporal distance separating us. These social and spiritual aspects of prehistoric human existence may be harder to reconstruct than tools or dwellings, but they represent crucial elements of what makes us human. As we conclude our journey through the world of our caveman ancestors, we're left with a deeper appreciation for the foundations upon which all human civilization was built. The story of prehistoric humans is not separate from our modern narrative, but forms its essential first chapters. Today's digital technologies and space exploration stand on the shoulders of those first toolmakers who extended human capabilities through external implements. Our modern languages, with their rich complexities, evolved from the communication systems developed around ancient hearths. Even our contemporary art, despite all its sophisticated techniques and concepts, shares fundamental impulses with those first painters who left their marks on cave walls. As we drift off to sleep, we might imagine those distant ancestors looking up at the same stars we see today, wondering about their place in the universe just as we do. Across the vast expanse of time, we remain connected to them through our shared humanity, our common challenges, and our endless capacity for innovation and adaptation. The story of human prehistory reminds us that through cooperation, creativity, and resilience, we have always found ways to not just survive, but to create meaning and beauty even in the most challenging circumstances.